Welcome. This is Barry Jones from the Angel School, and we're here for our weekly angel reading for August the 27th through September 2nd, 2018. So let's just take a moment to breathe deeply, to relax, and to let everything that is external, that's just going on and around us, let's just let all of that go for just a little while. And allow yourselves to focus in, within, where you feel your divine spark blossoming and just radiating so much love that represents your spiritual truth, even in the face of conflicts and adversities, challenges. Just being aware of this profound love that emanates from within you and that surrounds you and protects you and enfolds you in compassion that is unceasing. And as we kind of tune in to the messages that are coming up for you this week, there is some indication of being, I'm sort of getting a sense of growth, spiritual growth, and at the same time, spiritual sensitivity or vulnerability. So, in this vulnerability and this sensitivity, a lot of valuable information will surface for you. A lot of innate wisdom, gifts, and skills will sort of resurface. So it's sort of like I get a sense for you not to be worried about, or to be they're writing out the word look. So the thing is not to be worried. It feels like that the circumstances that you may be focused upon, or things that you may be worried about, right now stop. They want you to stop. Okay, so at that point, and they really want you to look. They want you to feel in that moment how secure and safe you really are. And what they mean by that, they want you to check in, because at those moments when we feel really vulnerable and there's a lot of confusion, this is the word they're right now, confusion starts to, become amplified. And you start to think about all the ways um, that you feel screwed in that moment. Okay. And the thing is that a lot of that is just your the possibilities that you're running through your head. It's like you're just got this list of all the ways that things are going to go wrong, and you're bringing that into the present moment, and you're allowing that to impact the way you feel and the way that you perceive the truth that is available to you in the moment. So these things become an obstacle to the windows of opportunity that are always open to you. And it's almost like sort of like a split. I don't know why I want to say this, but like a split window, a split screen, or something. Um, it's a feeling of insanity in a way, because you're not giving yourself the chance to really see what the solutions are, what your options are, what are the opportunities that you can that the situation is helping you to find. And they're right at the word luck, and they, as if they're saying if there's anything such thing as luck, as if you have this perception that it always rests with others. This would be how you create it for yourself, is when you, instead of looking at, with disappointment at what has occurred that is unexpected, that you look at it as an opportunity. How is this, what is this helping me with right now? What is this causing me, is causing me to look and to stop and to look in this moment. Um, Instead of just keep plowing along, doing the same thing, getting the same results. And this disruption caused you to stop, to look, and, to stop and then to look, to see what's really happening, to see what's really possible. Because you have gifts and talents within you. You have skills, and a lot of times we just walk around feeling like a victim or feeling powerless. But in actuality, you have abilities and skills and gifts that you aren't utilizing. That if you open your heart and if you think um, positively, you'll see that you have a calling here in this situation, and that it's calling you out of something. It's calling you out of yourself, out of the illusion of yourself, to stand in the clarity and the true sense of power and beauty that you possess. So I'm sort of seeing in front of this window a little stool, and it's very like right up to the windows. Let's just say to really sit up, to sort of to really take a seat and at this window of opportunity, and to just sit there and to really take in what's coming or what's happening out there. It's almost like it feels like you're um, there's like there are times within the illusions that we're caught up in, that a window opens up, and the feeling I'm getting is, you may feel like you're in this hole. Is a word I'm seeing. But if you go to that window, or just follow that window, follow the light, because coming through that window is all this light. And to take a seat right up to that window, and don't let yourself go back into the areas where there are shadows and darkness, meaning where nothing feels good, or nothing, where you feel powerless. Don't let yourself go back there. Take a seat right on that stool, even though it may be uncomfortable. This tiny little stool I'm seeing, and sit there and see what the light, see what guidance is coming to you from the light that's shining so brightly and brilliantly through that window. So it takes courage, I think, to sit there and to be open to what new information comes through. And so I get this sense that as much as, we go into this place where we just really allow our feelings and to overwhelm us, and to allow, it's familiar, it's, you expect it, and it's almost like you've come to um, rely on it. And it sounds weird, but you instead of looking for a different explanation for this. It's like we jump to the same conclusions over and over again instead of looking for a different conclusion. And that may not always be easily to override that tendency, but they want you to try by first just being aware that when you're in these places that don't feel good, that there's a reason that you're being alerted that something isn't good for you or doesn't feel right to you. Not just to own that you're not feeling good and then let this become sort of the motivation for what you do or don't accomplish. Because some people, there are things that there are actions that they take because they're in these places. And they tend not to make us feel any better. They tend to make the situation worse, right? For us, they make the feelings, they become deeper, they become cemented, they become more concrete in a way. So we don't really want that. That's not really what the goal is. And we have to know that we have to turn in another direction, any direction that doesn't make matters worse for us. Any perspective that you can allow yourself to receive that will give you some relief or help you to release whatever it is that you're feeling or conflicted about or confused about. So this is a time right now where they want you to be a little bit more, I don't say the word guarded, but for now, for lack of a better word, they want you to be a little bit more protective of your higher, this place of higher vibration. They want you to nurture it, and they want you to be a lot more astute about how it's being nurtured and what is nurturing it, what is causing it to grow, and what is not. And to not take for granted in the slightest when something feels like it is decreasing the value of that which you deserve, the prosperity. And not prosperity just in the sense of things that we acquire, achievements, but just happiness, pure, plain and simple happiness. This is not something that you should have to work for. It's something you deserve. And when you know that you deserve happiness, that's the beginning of how you begin to really respect yourself. And how others, when they see it, begin to respect you as well, without having to put any effort in being respected or respectable. Anyway, you have to understand that you deserve happiness, and you have to monitor the events in your life and how they emotionally affect you for the sole purpose of respecting and the value of your own happiness. So these events and these emotional responses are, I just saw a word and I know it's gone, but they help you to foster this alignment that is of happiness, that is what is true prosperity. You if you don't have this as the core understanding, then the other benefits of prosperity that you've come to associate with the purpose behind your happiness or what motivates your happiness just won't ever sustain any real pleasure for you without understanding that it comes down to how you interact with your life and the achievements. If it's not based on a simplistic idea that you deserve to be happy and that any interaction is always keeping you up to speed with what does and what does not. And to not take that information, that emotional information, personally. So no matter what the interaction is, whether it's with another person or an event or a thing, it does not matter that about this, what is transactioning between you, what they want you to pay attention to is how it makes you feel, and to not to take those feelings personally, whether it's awesome or not, because it should not be that you rely upon the outside influence to define the experience of happiness for you. It's about what you bring from your heart to the situation. This is what gives you the advantage. It's about what you bring to this situation. The joy that you're able to bring, and you can only bring that joy when you're fully aware of the feedback and whether or not that this is valuable to you sustaining and obtaining true happiness, which is true prosperity. Because once you have this true value of an understanding of happiness, then all forms of prosperity are able to flow into your existence unencumbered and without attachments. Because one of the impediments to change is not respecting the interaction or how these interactions transaction and interact within our lives, and for what reason, and the length and time of them does not matter, because you are reading their appropriate usefulness to you in your life in the moment, and you are continuously appreciating and experiencing them in this way until the time that is no longer the case, in which that at that point you don't become angry, or you don't become depressed or any. You understand compassion. You understand that, and you respect that when it was time that this no longer has that value that sustains your true sense of happiness, thereby allowing you to be in the flow of your own prosperity. When you understand that that value is no longer necessary, you appreciate even the exit of this person, thing, or event or situation. And so you continue to move and remain ever present and ever mindful and respectful of your own deserving. And your own deserving of happiness and prosperity has nothing to do with something remaining or promising to be no more or no less of what it is and all that it can be until it is no longer. I mean, I know it's a complicated way of saying it, but this is the way it's coming through me right now. So, where this is what it really means to respect yourself and to honor the interaction of all the external components that are parlaying with you and playing with you and providing you pleasure and vice versa, you know, and they write out the word expression. I mean, all of this becomes a part of what we eventually express. So it's feeding that in a sense. But when we attach, we slow down progress. We slow down the process of change. We disenable our happiness and our ability to flow in our own alignment of prosperity when we form these attachments, when we don't allow, when we take things personally and we don't allow these various situations to be what they must be. But you always get to decide, and they want you to be, keenly aware of the emotional feedback that happens between the interactions of all these things that's allowing you to know where you need to be or not be in order to not allow the value of your own happiness or prosperity to be compromised in any way. Okay, so let's take a look at the card for the sort of theme of the week from our Archangel Oracle card, and the message is courage, Archangel Ariel, and this is the second time in very, very recent times that we're having this card appear again. And just sort of getting a sense from Archangel Ariel, and this is really sort of appropriate to what we were just talking about, because it says, be courageous and stand up for your beliefs. Now, we were talking about that before, and I know when people hear that stand up, our human interprets fight against or speak out. But the angels want to help you understand that real courage is living your truth. This is what we were really just talking about. When you live your truth, that is respect. And people can only deal with you by how you live your truth or not. That is how they deal with you. If you can't find this within yourself, if you can't find it within this, then trying to convince people, trying to persuade them through words or actions that require a great deal of effort on your part, then you won't be able to really create that much difference from that kind of activity or action, or it has to be something that you first own within yourself, that you own it through the understanding that can only come from you really being aware of what happiness you deserve. And you first must understand that the happiness that you deserve is unlimited in every possible way. There are no restrictions. There are no criteria about what this happiness must be in order for it to be acceptable. So that's the first thing that you really have to acknowledge and recognize. There are no limits on this. And then it's about being aware of what brings you joy, what brings you this, what allows you to continuously flow in your own prosperity, the because you got to understand the universe gives this so freely. It loves, it is the universe's purpose. It fulfills the universe. So therefore the universe is happily sustaining this gift to all of creation. And that is why in truth the universe, the created world, is a resource, an inspiration of prosperity and abundance. Just think, if the created universe was not there, or aspects of it that we are fulfilled by it were not there, how drastically this would impact our sense of happiness and sense of self. Just imagine. But then just imagine how much you impact the created world when you, because you and I have choice, specifically free will, to create this happiness, to respect it within ourselves, and to live it to the fullest extent that we are able to acknowledge it and pursue it. You see? So this is very important. Let's sort of move on, because I see we've been talking quite a bit, but let's go on and see what comes up in the messages for the week. And let me just tune in briefly to just see if there's anything else coming up from Archangel Ariel. And she's showing me a mushroom, and it reminds me of the tree image, but the stem is very thin, and that always reminds me of our connection, so that we have to be aware of, and a window comes up, we have to be aware of, there's a profound connection, there's a profound realization when you do recognize that something is cutting you off, and at that moment it's a clear decision. They're writing out the word sophisticated. As if to say this is a very sophisticated technology. It's very simple but sophisticated. When we feel connected, we feel just, immersed in joy. And when we don't, we feel the absence of it. We take it personally. We may go and say, oh, somebody doesn't like me, or I'm not smart enough. And you know what I'm getting at. But it's about recognizing that wherever you are and however you're focusing the approach, the perspective, it's all wrong for you. And to respect that instead of getting upset with it, you know what I mean? Respect that and start looking for what does. What does? Don't fight with the conflicts. Don't fight with the confusion. Don't fight with the depression. Don't fight with, your anxiety. Respect it. It's telling you something very clearly, but it's not telling you, and this is what I mean by taking it personally, because see, we take it personally with ourselves. We take our own emotional interpretation personally, which means you're going to take everybody else's emotional interpretation personally too. And you shouldn't. You shouldn't take yours personally, because it's not doing it for that reason. It's just alerting you that you are disconnecting yourself to the wellness of your inner being, the prosperity of your inner being, that flow. You're disrupting it, you're disconnecting from it. And it takes courage to live your truth. Because when you take it personally, you're bowing out, so to speak. Because you're letting the implications, the misinformation, you're giving in to it to the point you're allowing it to devalue yourself. Okay? So let's take a look at the card for the beginning of the week. Okay. And so we have the Sun card. And in all of this discussion, it would almost appear that there is a brighter picture here that's unfolding. So it's possible that you may have a lot of practice, which we all do, at taking our emotional feedback personally, whether it's coming from our perception, from our side, or the perspective of another. And that in letting this go, that we may actually see the light. That's the feeling I'm getting about this card at first. It's about somehow seeing the light, being able to break through, to pierce the veil and of shadows that have sort of controlled the way that the way that we interact, has caused us to develop beliefs that have been limiting. And so there's a feeling with this card of some kind of breakthrough that occurs for you at the beginning of the week. And possibly this sun shines throughout the week for you and just really feeds you. It feels like, and I'm saying the word suspicions, and that the energy that may break first has to do with suspicions. They keep writing out the word sophisticated, and you have to understand that you've made your ego, you've developed it to the point it's become very sophisticated, in which your understanding of what one thing is actually the opposite. And it feels like, things are going to be flip-flopping in some ways. And this is what's going to really cause you to, I'm saying the word expression. So new forms of expressions are going to come out of you. It's almost like you're going to just start to have these ahas moments, and that you start to change the way but it becomes a natural thing. I feel like you're going to just start to articulate. As you start to articulate this is going to just shift a lot of things for you. Okay? They're writing out the word like growth, like a growing process happens for you in this week, and to be courageous to live it. Okay? And look at this, another major arcana card, the Strength card. And it's interesting because the Courage card from the Archangel Oracle, and this card, if I was going to take Oracle cards and try to make them into tarot cards, they would be just alike, right? So in that way, this would be one of the cards I would think that would have been a great card from the Oracle card decks for this card, the Strength card. So this is a message about you dealing with this dualistic aspects of ourselves, the basic raw, instincts, the gut reactions, with this mindfulness, this spiritual clarity, the ability to perceive and to not jump to harsh judgments to temper this. So there in this week, there's going to be some kind of tempering that's going to kind of happen where you start to find find better ways, find more sophisticated ways, to find more evolved ways. I feel that I'm hearing the word progressional. So this is going to just be something that this is going to start to happen over a period of time, in which you start, this is what true progress would be for you on that inner level of understanding and prosperity and happiness. It begins at this level for you. Okay, so that's just like that breakthrough, just moving through, and new tools and new abilities are strengthening and refining. Okay, as you work between these sort of opposing forces within us, that you bring them into a place of balance and harmony and sophistication, refinement. All right, let's take a look at the card for, all right, the end of the week, and we have the Page of Earth. And so from this, there's a shift in this area of your life, which would, the Earth cards or Pentacles represent finances, work, family, home, all of that, our physical reality. I'm even getting a sense of that these changes allow you to begin to have more mind over the matter, so to speak. And so you're going to start to see some really positive shifts in these areas, in all aspects of your physical life experiences, and that this will be the beginning of a new kind of relationship, a new approach that occurs for you, a whole new approach, the way, so that there's less personal conclusions, and that you're having this more of a spiritual alignment or connection with this. So maybe you start to discover that you are deserving, but it becomes visceral in some way. It's a tangible expression or experience of this that you're deserving. It just doesn't stay in the mental process or alone the feeling process, but it becomes something you experience, and you may not be able to put it into words, but you start to see it happening. You start to see the effects. It's like that's what I'm really getting. It's like from this breakthrough, from this refinement that of your process and the progress that you start making, you begin to see, you begin to live your truth. You begin to live the results of living your truth. Better said. Okay? Now let me just tune in and see if there's any additional information here. So I feel like I'm sitting in the cockpit of a plane, which for me is a symbol of something launching. And I'm seeing there are windows that just sort of go in this cockpit. It's like it's just not front, but it's the peripheral as well. So things are going to be launching. Some things where your peripheral, you don't see exactly what it is, but you see a shadow, or you see, you know that something's moving, like like very basic observations, but it'll go from that basic to what's dead in front of you. So I feel like that some things may be unexpected, some things coming at you that you didn't even realize you were even interested in, or that you had triggered this kind of thing. It could be these things could become from people, or it could come from new situations, and then as well the things that you have your eyes and your set upon, and your dreams. Um, they write the word impaired, so that there's before that you've had some your vision was impaired, or compromise is the word I'm also seeing. And so now the things that were in front of you appear differently. And they're writing the word a year. So it's possible that a year from now, you'll be in a completely different place, and those impairments and impediments in your perspective would have been really completely and fully healed. And something about, I just saw vaguely the word imperfect, that is almost like your imperfections become a perfection. So there are things that you, the way you looked at something, you saw this is an imperfection in yourself. When it somehow becomes a talent. She looks like someone, a nightclub singer. So some kind of imperfection turns into a talent of some in some way. All right, let's take a look at the card I pulled from the bottom of the deck. All right, and don't be alarmed by this card, because this is the underlying influence, and this is just telling us that some of the things that, because I think I remember this in the very beginning, they were just talking about that, about worries or something, and it's about your worries. They're pushing you. First of all, they're speaking to you. They're letting you know that you need to find a different way. That you know, because God, the universe doesn't want you to have anxiety, and definitely is not creating anything to put that in your perspective. It's something that you are creating out of the shadows of your fears. And so, this means that instead of doing the same thing that you always do, that you need to find a different way of dealing with it. And so that this kind of worry, this sort of underscoring, or fear, anxiety, means you need to find a different way of dealing with it, and that you're going to find, and you're going to see it. You're going to realize that you're just creating all of this, and it's a waste of your energy. Energy, time, and resources. It's just draining, it's devaluing your ability to be happy and to know true prosperity. It may indicate that you have to reevaluate what you call happiness, what you've labeled happiness and prosperity and success, because you may have it all wrong, and you may be going about it all wrong, which is why you don't feel as safe and as comfortable as you should. So this is about indicating that you need to respect yourself by honoring the information rather than criticizing it or taking it personally, this emotional information. All right, it's very, very important that you get this, and I think this is going to be something that you learn. That you're going to learn that your fears are not as sound, sound in logic or as advice. That is just suspicions that don't serve you. Get the truth first. Get the information. When you get there, what you're worried about, when you arrive there, you will have the knowledge and the answers to know what choice that is best for you then. So worry, you can't do anything with that now. So put it away. All right. So I send you lots of love and angel blessings, and thank you for joining us, and for all your comments that you leave on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed, do so. If you haven't, there's a little bell there you can click on when the videos are posted. It'll notify you. So do that. If you haven't joined us for the daily card messages, you can go to my Facebook page. You can find that link below. My